Okay, so this is going to be number 1.1 to 1.3 for Algebra 2 from Mr. Heeren. Okay, so what you're looking at here is kind of just some of the basic, simple ways we talk about writing math and explaining math and kind of understanding math. So when you start talking about expressions versus equations, this is something a lot of people get screwed up. Here's the big difference. An equation has got an equal sign. That's the big thing. An equation has got an equal sign. It's got two things that on either side of it, and it's looking to be solved. An expression has no equal sign. Okay, let me say that again. An expression has no equal sign. So an example of an expression would be something like this. So if I had 3x plus 3, that would be an example of an algebraic expression. Or if I had something like this, if I had 412 plus y minus 7, that would always be that way too. So when you're looking at an expression, this is what you're looking at. 4 times 12 plus y minus 7. That would always be the same. An algebraic expression is going to look something like this. If I had 3x plus 4 equals 7x minus 3, all that would be considered an equation. So we all know PEMDAS. PEMDAS, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. This is the way that a lot of you guys learned it. And it kind of just said parentheses, these guys, exponents, multiply, divide, add, subtract. Problem is that it's not quite set up that way. The problem is that it's really this. It's more like this. It's more like a pyramid. There should only be 4 steps in the process, not 6. So when you look at PEMDAS, you got to think about this. Parentheses are still first. Exponents are still second. But then you do multiplication and division at the same time going across. Okay, so you do multiplication and division at the same time in the same steps. Okay, and then addition and subtraction are last, but again, that's at the same time. So let me give you kind of an example what I mean. Multiplication division happens at the same time. So if I had 12 times 6 um, plus 4 divided by 2, something like that. All right, so these two would have to go together first. So that's going to be 72. But then I got to do 4 divided by 2 at that same time. All right, I can't just add 4 then divide by 2. That doesn't work. So that's going to be 72 divided by 2. This happens at the same time as this. So then my final answer would just be 74. All right, so that's what we're looking at with that. So you got to take your time and kind of do this one piece at a time. So number 1, or letter A, when you're doing this, that's going to be 10. And then that's going to be, distribute this through. So that's going to be 12 plus 9. So 10, 12, and 9, when you put that all together, what do you get? Well, 10 and 12 is 22, and 9 is going to be 31. For letter B, this is kind of a lot going on. These things here are the exact same thing as parentheses. They're called brackets, but they kind of do the same thing. So I want to do 30 divided by 6 first. So I'm going to have 5 plus 5 in parentheses. So I take care of that second. So my final answer is going to be 2 times 10, or 20. That's what I'm looking at there. Still, plug in all the numbers in first and then evaluate. So here what I'm doing is I've got actual numbers I'm putting in, so that's what I'm going to figure out. So if I look at this first one, x, y, and 8, and 12. So x is 3, y is 4, plus 8, so you got 3, and then inside here you're going to have 4 plus 8. So in parentheses, this happens first, so you're looking at 3 times 12. So that's going to be a grand total of 36 for your answer. All right, this one's going to be kind of the same, except there's a little bit more to it. So you're going to have 2, then you're going to have 12, then you're going to have 8 minus 3 all over 3 squared. So 2, 12, and 8 multiply together, minus 3 over 3 squared. So now, technically, this is going to be 9 on the bottom. Up on top, you're going to have 2 times 12 times 8. So that's going to be 8 times 12 is 96 times 2 is going to be 192. So now take a look here. Here's kind of a common misconception. Order of operations says we do multiplication and division at the same time. But look, I did multiplication. Now I've got division here, but I don't technically do it first. Here's why. When you see this situation, this is kind of the way you got to think about it. All right, it's actually 192 minus 3 in parentheses divided by 9. All right, that's kind of the way you think about it. So it's actually going to be 189 divided by 9. So my final answer is going to be 21. That's the way you got to think about it. Common misconception. All right, one thing kids will do is they'll see this and they'll think, oh, I got to take 192 divided by 9 minus 3 divided by 9. No, that doesn't work. That's not following the order of operations the correct way. So, simplifying each expression. Notice here, none of these have got equal signs, so there's no equation. So there's only expressions, and you got to simplify. So now, how do I simplify? I got to start putting together common terms, and here's how that works. Common terms means same exponent to, or same variable to same exponent. So now, once I get this down to as simple as I can, so that's going to be 12x squared. That's going to be plus 6x minus 6 plus 4x squared. All I'm left with is adding and subtracting. So that's an x. So I've got 12x squared and 4x squared. So that's going to give me 16x squared. Then I've got 10x all by itself. Let's see, that's going to be 6x right there. So that's going to be minus 4x plus or minus 6. That is as simple as I can get it when you're putting it all together right there. I can't put this together. You know, you can't put these two things together and try telling me it's 12x. It doesn't work. These are two different, those are two different things. Those are two different animals. You cannot put them together. Likewise over here. Same idea. 4x minus 2. Now here's where you got to be careful. You have subtraction here. So you've got to take that all the way through. So that's going to be minus 12x minus 4. So you're going to have 4x minus 12x. So that's going to be negative 8x minus 2 minus 4. That's going to be minus 6. That's as simple as you get right there. Again, you can't put that together because one has a variable, one does not. So when you're solving, or when you're evaluating, you got to look at the situation, kind of see what are they looking for and what should my answer look like. All right, so the pyramid arena in Memphis, Tennessee is the third largest pyramid in the world. The area of its base is 360,000 square feet, and it is 321 feet high. The formula for the volume of a pyramid is volume equals 1/3 base times height, where B represents the area of the base and H is the height. Find the volume of the pyramid arena. All right, so here's where you're looking at. You might remember, this might look somewhat familiar to you if you remember your geometry. So you've got 1/3 the base times the height. And you got the base, the area of the base is 360,000 square feet, and the entire thing is 321 feet high. So now we got to set up some sort of equation for what we're looking for. All right, so you've got the volume. That's going to be equal to 1/3 times 360,000 times 21. Oh, or 321, sorry. So really that's an expression because you're not solving for anything. Everything you want to do is on one side of the equation. So it's really just more of an expression than anything. So when you do this, you multiply it all together, you get 385, 20000. So 38,520,000 cubic feet of volume. All right, but notice all I did was take the equation, take the formula, and just kind of played fill in the blank with it. So geometry terms. So perimeter of the triangle. Perimeter basically means the distance you go if you go around the whole thing. All right, so that's what you're looking at. So if I go, this is A is 9, B is 10. So 2A, that's really 2 times 9, that's 18. B is 10, so this is going to be 0.5 times 10 squared. So 10 squared is really 100 times 0.5, that's going to be 50. Down here, 5, 8 plus 1, that's going to be 5 times 9 plus 1, so that's going to be 46. So your perimeter is going to be 50, 46, and 18. All right, so those two together, that's 96 plus 18, so that's going to be 114 centimeters. And it's only centimeters, not centimeters squared, not centimeters cubed, because you're not looking at area and you're not looking at volume. So a couple key things to look for: added to, increased by, more than, sum, addition to. That's going to be your addition there. So subtracted from, decreased by, less than, difference. That's going to be subtraction. Quotient divided by, that's going to be, multiplied by, product times 1/3 of, 1/2 of, 1/4 of. That's multiplication. So this is going to be your division. So is the same as, is equal to, that's where your equation comes into play. So if you can solve each equation, so you can take a minute and do that. So a little division. Here, you got to do a little simplifying first. You can put all four of these things together. So 7a minus 3a is 4a, plus 2a is 6a, minus a is 5a, equals 16. So that means when you divide by 5, a is going to be equal to 3 1/5. Common misconception, one thing that a lot of people do, and I don't know why, they'll see this, and one common mistake is they'll just say 6a minus a is just 6. So then they'll try telling me 6 is equal to 16. Then they'll try telling me, well, that never works, so it must be no solution. No, remember, this is the equivalent of saying like 1a right there. This guy over here, this has got a lot going on. So I got distribute. So we have negative 9y minus 45 plus 6y plus 48. So when you do that, that's going to be negative 3y plus 3 equals 27. So subtract, subtract, negative 3y is 24. A little division, and off you go. There's your answers. All right, and again, you can check them, and they should make sense. So we're getting towards the end. Carl wants to replace the 5 windows in the bedrooms of his 2-story house. His neighbors agreed to help install them for $250. If Carl has budgeted $1,000 for the total cost of replacing the windows, what is the maximum amount he can spend on each window? Write an equation and use that to solve. So the maximum amount is $1,000. So that's what it can equal. All right, so that's your that's what it's got to equal, $1,000. Now, here's what we don't know. We don't know how much each window is going to take. Okay, so let's just call this W for the cost per each window. Excuse me. So he knows he's got 5 of them. But you can't just spend 5 and go. Okay, you can't just divide 1,000 by 5 because the neighbor's going to do it, but he's going to cost $250 to do it. All right, so the 5 windows plus $250 has got to equal $1,000. Now it's plus because this is your cost of the windows plus the cost of your neighbor. That whole thing is going to equal $1,000. So that means you have 5W is going to be equal to 750. So that means that the total you can spend on each window is just going to be that divided by 5. So the total cost you can spend on each window is going to be $150. All right, there's your question. There's your assignment, the worksheet. The NWA testing doesn't mean much to you. So there's your assignment. It's going to be due on Thursday, and you're going to have a short quiz on the next day.